What would you do if one of the biggest games in the world asked you to make a commercial for them in just 7 days? Would you panic? Maybe feel a little unqualified?
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm!
That was my exact reaction when I got this email from PUBG Mobile. In this video, I'll show you how I planned, captured, animated, and delivered a commercial under pressure without completely losing my mind. I never want to work on this again. Funnily enough, this all begins while I was on vacation and I got this email. With zero prep and terrible beach Wi-Fi, I had to come up with the entire concept and build the storyboards in a single afternoon. There's no time to overthink, no time to play it safe, no time to test anything, just raw creative instinct. And somehow, that pressure gave me the creative boost I needed. With the concept document sent their way, I headed home and waited for revisions, which surprisingly, they had no revisions.
Deal's done.
Okay, so I just got back from vacation and I just got this email saying, the concept is approved, dude. It's approved. This means that the concept is officially greenlit, and I don't know if you can see right there, they want a due date of March 24th or the 25th. But before I could launch a single piece of VFX software, I knew I needed to sit down and plan out my video. Okay, so to help keep myself on track, I went and made like some daily milestones and stuff. So, you know, Sunday, I got to finish all the shot blockouts. That includes retargeting all the character animations, which I got going on right here. And then Monday, I'm going to spend all day doing the character cloth physics in Unreal. Tuesday is going to be the sarcophagus effects. That's going to be stuff with like the runes glowing and blowing it open. That's other simulation stuff. Wednesday, Niagara particles. Thursday is going to be rendering and compositing inside of After Effects. That's going to be all the finishing touches. Friday is sound design and deliver to the client. So I got about half the shots blocked out. I just got to get the other half blocked out to stay on schedule. So let's get to it. The more I stressed about this PUBG commercial, the harder it became to even get started. The first thing I knew I'd need, 3D models. I was able to use this amazing Egyptian environment from the Fab Marketplace. And after finding some basic PUBG models, I finally felt like I was in business. But while I was still sourcing all my assets, the deadline got pushed even closer, giving me only 7 days for the project. They're asking for Friday, March 21st. So now I have even less time than I originally thought. Man, I gotta get grinding, oh my gosh. So I shifted my focus and spent the entire day recording every motion capture performance myself, from the heroes to the enemy character. Animation and mocap day. Let's get after it. Okay, so I got the Unreal Engine environment pulled up just so I know spatially like where I'm at so that I can act accordingly in the mocap suit. And I got it right here. All I gotta do is turn it on and then throw it on. Okay, so all prepped and ready to go to do the mocap. I got a little toy gun here so that way I have constant and consistent hand placement with like the weapon and stuff. So yeah, this is gonna be fun. I gotta do mocap for 4 characters, 3 players, and then the Anubis skins. I know loosely what I'm gonna do, but a lot of this is just gonna be improv and just riffing and then figuring it out later in Unreal. So let's get to it. Once I had that raw data, it was finally time to actually build out the project, 1 day at a time. I had everything choreographed, but I had no idea what the next step would be. And it was at this point where I was definitely thinking I bit off more than I could chew. But I knew I could do it. Making a professional game commercial in 7 days sounds impossible, but here's how I broke it down. Day 1 was all about planning. I created shot blockouts to sketch out the entire sequence before doing any cleanup work. Okay, today has been a long day, but I finally got everything blocked out. Let me show you. Honestly, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm literally telling like basically a whole story, kind of like with these characters and players. I got them dropping in, they've looted up or whatever. I mean, I'm pretty happy with a lot of these shots. I think it's gonna turn out pretty cool. Still, obviously a lot of work I gotta get done, but yeah, this just kind of shows you like the general like camera blocking and getting all the characters animated and, you know, in the scene, placed in the scene. Literally just like the skeleton of the project is complete. Everything else is just like meat on the bones, basically. So it's actually taken all freaking day to get to this point, but I think it's good progress. So that means, oh my gosh, I've been looking forward to doing this all day. Oh, yes. I'm going to bed. Here's what no one tells you about cloth simulation in VFX. It freaking sucks, man. It's some of the most tedious crap ever. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, today is the day that we do all the cloth physics, all the cloth sim stuff, all that really boring, tedious, frustrating, time-consuming stuff. Yay. But we have to get it done if we are gonna stay on track and on schedule with everything that I've set up to do on the milestone list here. So yeah, today is character cloth physics. Let's get to it. Day 2 was all about bringing the characters to life with realistic cloth physics. I'm talking coats, hair, any loose fabric that will react to motion. It's these subtle details that most people overlook, but it sells the realism in a big way. Luckily, Unreal has a pretty decent built-in cloth engine. I just have to choose the part in the mesh that I want to have cloth physics, and I paint away. But what you can't forget is setting up the bounding boxes correctly so that the cloth doesn't clip or move around in any weird, unrealistic way. After painting the areas of the meshes I knew I'd want to have cloth physics, I added some wind to the scene. This made the Anubis character's hair flow in a cool and mystical way. I finally felt like I was in control of the project. Okay, so that actually took way less time than I thought it would. So I'm actually done. I think I'm done for the day. I think I accomplished all that I set out to do. I think I'm kind of ahead of schedule. I got the cloth physics activated right there on her little trench coat, and in my opinion, I think it works pretty well. I think it works pretty well. I even got the Anubis skin, like the linen hair pieces kind of flowing in the wind, because I made those cloth as well. Check this out. Yeah, so as she just kind of slowly rises up, you see like her hair is kind of flowing in the wind and stuff, and oh my gosh, it's so sick. What this now means is I can go to today's checkbox and check it off. Done. I was looking forward to continuing my confidence into tomorrow, which was focusing on something more ancient and powerful. Something ready to wake up. A lot of VFX artists know that complex effects need weeks of R&D, but what if you only had one day? On day 3, I focused on arguably the hardest and most frustrating part of the project, blowing up a sarcophagus. Okay, so today is day 3. We're doing all the sarcophagus stuff. I also gotta do some destruction effects. I'm either gonna do that in Blender or Unreal. I think if I do it on Unreal, I could learn something new with this project. I think that'd be dope, but I just don't know if I have time for it. There is one thing I do have though, that might help. They're called VDB sequences. And I have a pack of a bunch of VDB like destruction effects and stuff. So I'm gonna try that in Unreal and see if I can sort of just like skirt my way around it. See if it's like a cheap way to get the effect done. So either way, we got a lot to do. Because I had a pack of VDB simulations, blowing up this sarcophagus was gonna be a piece of cake. Or so I thought. Okay. Yeah, this is a little trickier than I thought it'd be. So the VDB sequence thing, not really working out. So what I think I'm gonna do is try to use Unreal Engine 5's chaos physics instead, but that's gonna be like a whole day of figuring that out and messing around. I think we can recover the time lost though. We'll see. All right, see you tomorrow. I essentially wasted an entire day. And at this point, any confidence or momentum I had was now completely gone. And I was seriously behind schedule. What no one tells you about falling behind on a 7-day VFX deadline is just how much pressure it really puts on every decision you make. By Wednesday, I was already a full day behind. So I had to figure out how to explode the sarcophagus using chaos physics and Unreal and still finish all the Niagara particle systems I'd have to put in place that day. 2 full days of work and only had 1 to pull it off. Okay, all right. So today is, I don't even know what day it is, but I'm behind, I know that. So I think I got something that might actually work though, okay? So I got this next gen destruction toolkit from the Fab Marketplace. And basically what that allows you to do is take your own custom assets or assets from the marketplace and then destroy them, basically. So what I plan to do is make the asset destructible, put it into Tape Recorder, and then destroy it with like some grenade explosion thing, right? And then copy that over into the PUBG mobile project file. Hopefully this works. That's the plan. We'll see. I was able to chuck the sarcophagus model in, fracture it, and explode it. And somehow, I was able to record that simulation data and use it in Sequencer. There's still some jank, of course, all right? But you know, for never doing this type of stuff in Unreal before, I'm decently happy with it. Is it historically accurate? No, not at all. But it's fantasy. Like, it's creative liberties, man. A lot of the jank's gonna be covered up in compositing inside of After Effects. So for now, I'm gonna move on from this big piece, the physics simulation and stuff. I'm gonna move on from that. I'm gonna get to the animating the emissive like runes, Egyptian hieroglyphics and stuff like that all over the coffin. And then I gotta do all the Niagara particles because I'm still making up from lost time from yesterday. Frankly, I had no idea what I was doing, but somehow it all worked out. And I was able to move on to placing a bunch of particles in the environment to add dimension and some extra magical oomph. I added sand particles flowing around the Anubis character, magical energy effects when she teleports, muzzle flashes, bullet hits, dust and fog. I mean, I went absolutely ham on this thing. Now, despite all odds and complete lack of motivation, I was actually able to get back on track. That's it, and I could not be happier with today's progress. I finally caught up, which means I can finally do this, bro. Oh my gosh, I've been looking forward to this all freaking day. Back on track, let's go! So I'll see you tomorrow for rendering and compositing. Most beginner VFX artists struggle to make things feel cinematic, and here's why. They skip the compositing phase. It's compositing day. This is gonna be a lot of fun because I just get to bring it all together and tie it up in a nice, neat little bow. I'm gonna add a bunch of just like sand particle effects, magic effects, lens dirt, color grading, color correction, sharpness, the whole bit, okay? I get to use my planes method. Cannot wait for this. This is gonna be a ton of fun. This is just the final stages and I'm just so excited. I freaking love this stage. I spent all day dialing in lighting, render settings, and finishing touches in comp. Personally, I use what I call the planes method. I added extra energy particles around the Anubis character to give it more energy, a layer of haze for atmosphere, explosion and smoke effects, lens dirt, 2D tracked particles to follow the Anubis character, some cleanup in Topaz Labs, and finally boosting the saturation and sharpness. Surprisingly, rendering took like 4 or 5 hours. Not just, you know, straight because it's so beefy, the scene is so beefy, there's just a lot to render. No, the renders were like pumping out like that. I had to redo it 15 million times. And after hours of rendering, re-rendering, and compositing, it's finally looking like a real commercial. But it's not done until it sounds like one. Well, it didn't take all day or all night, but still pretty late. I guess technically today is the final day, but I got all the compositing done, so you know what? Completely forgot, but this right here is so satisfying. I'm gonna go to bed, and I'll see you tomorrow or in a few hours for sound design. People don't exactly teach sound design when you're learning VFX, but they really should. Okay, final day, sound design day. When I tell you I am so sick and tired of working on this thing, it is no exaggeration. I hope they come back with no notes because I never want to work on this again. I'm so sick of this project. On the final day, I had to design the entire soundscape from ambience, footsteps, gunshots, explosions, to the energy of the Anubis character. I mean, every sound had to hit just right. I threw my final shots in DaVinci where I edited everything together, and then I spent hours doing sound design in Fairlight. For this project, I relied on a great Magic sound pack from Boom Library. And as much as I love doing sound design, I only had a few hours left. I was not gonna fall behind again and let down this big of a client. With the clock ticking down, I pulled everything together for final delivery. There was no more time to tweak, and it was time to lock in and let it fly. I finally finished it. Oh my gosh, bro. I am so excited to be done with this. I finally finished all the sound design. I have been waiting for this moment all week long. Oh my gosh. Yes! And with everything finally complete from mocap, blockout, simulations to particle effects, compositing, and sound design, one of the most ambitious projects I've ever made with one of the tightest deadlines of my career was finally complete. And this is my finished commercial. Enjoy. But as much as I wish I could say it was over, it wasn't. See, with brand deals, they have the final say. And unfortunately, I hardly ever get approval on the first draft. They had some revisions. Okay, so it's literally the next week, and they had notes. Let me just show you. In my initial draft, he gets up and he runs away, right, from the big bad. They didn't like that. According to them, it went against the brand guidelines. So they wanted me to basically replace the character entirely with a new bandit or just cut him. Now, I don't know if you know anything about VFX, 3D animation or stuff like that, but when something is set so deep in this project and he's in every single shot, it takes a while to completely redo it or cut it entirely and then rearrange all the other characters. So I had to get creative. Let me show you what I did. I got the project file back up here, and what I did was I basically just changed the color of his clothes and I put on a level 1 helmet and then a gas mask to cover up his face. So basically a new player.
wise warrior. The battle has just begun.
I hope that this gave you some sort of insight onto what it's like working on a brand deal video or a commercial animation for social media. Every project has its ups and downs, and client projects especially definitely do, but this was overall just a ton of fun. I learned new things, and at the end of the day, that's what's most creatively fulfilling for me, so hope you enjoyed.